If you need some better stability after lifting your 2004 through 2020 F-150, excluding the Raptor models, these BDS tubular front upper control arms for 2.5 to 6 inches of lift are a great choice for your build. Now, these are a good option for the avid off-roader to the regular daily driver that wants a correctly angled upper control arm and ball joint for a more comfortable ride in their truck, no matter if you've lifted your F-150 with spacers or have a full-blown coilover setup. With being constructed for a better angle, they're also much more durable than the factory setup, so if you're working with heavy tires or just tougher situations in general, this set of control arms is a reliable option in the category. Now, lift without replacing the upper control arms creates a much steeper angle for your factory arm. It puts a lot of pressure on the ball joint and it doesn't allow as much travel, traction, and performance compared to the flatter stock angle. Now, with the indexed ball joint cup and corrected length, these allow for that flattened angle, increased travel, and the correct traction needed for that 2.5 to 6 inch lift mark. Now, while it offers better performance for your front end suspension when it comes to movement, it also helps with the stability in the front end, which directly affects your feel day to day and helps create a more controlled ride experience or ride in general compared to what you are or were feeling with the maxed stock arms. The ball joints are also greasable, so every couple thousand miles you can check and re-grease them to extend the life of these arms and keep that comfortable ride going. As I said, these have a tough build, especially since you can maintain the workable parts in this system. The arm itself is made of a 1.5 inch outer diameter steel tubing with a 0.12 inch wall thickness, which is able to handle abusive forces that you put on it and resist bending and damage, especially with the tough weld. Now, on top, it also has a glossy black finish to protect the steel underneath and resist any rusting over time. The ball joint itself is also going to have a heavy duty construction there, and the bushings on either side are made of a factory style rubber for a quiet and very comfortable operation, as well as a maintenance free one. This set is about $825 and is towards the higher end of the spectrum for upper control arms. Now, what does stand out about this set is the wide lift range that these offer. Great if you have a coilover system that you plan on raising or changing, if you are taking your suspension step by step and want to invest in a set of arms with the intentions of changing that lift height in the future. Now, regardless of your plans, these are also tough as far as the construction is concerned with the tubular build and are great if you want a maintainable ball joint with maintenance-free bushings on the ends compared to other combinations out there that may require more work or not allow you to take care of them over time. So if you're looking for this specific combination in a durable arm as well as a 2.5 inch to 6 inch lift range, this is a great option to consider. Install gets a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter and should take about 3 hours to fully install. I do recommend an alignment after the installation for the best tire wear and component wear, as well as the best performance with your truck. However, at this point, I'm going to hand it over to one of our installers and they're going to show you a detailed breakdown on how these install onto your F-150s. So that is going to wrap it up for what I have to say. Let's go ahead and get into the install.
Tools required for this install include a couple different size impact guns, a hammer, 16 and 27 millimeter wrenches, 16, 18, and 21 millimeter ratcheting wrenches, a marker, a swivel adapter, 18 and 27 millimeter sockets, a pry bar, as well as a grease gun and a pole jack or floor jack. What's up, guys? Today we're installing upper control arms on our F-150. So let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna do is come underneath my lower control arm, remove the 2 nuts for the lower strut mount, as well as the nut for the sway bar end link. Now, depending on your lift kit setup, you might be able to just remove the 2 upper control arm bolts and the upper ball joint and pull it out. But because there are so many different lift kits, some of them do block those bolts from being pulled out, so you would have to take out the strut. So we're gonna show the whole thing here. Now I'm gonna swing down this lower control arm from these 2 pivot points because it's gonna be a lot easier than messing with pulling vacuum on the 4-wheel drive actuator and removing the knuckle. So take an 18 millimeter socket and get these 3 nuts off. Now on your sway bar end link stud here, If it does start spinning that ball joint, you can get a 10mm socket on here and get an 18mm wrench or a pass-through socket to remove that and hold the stud so it doesn't spin. So now next what I'm going to do is take a marker and just make a mark on this alignment bolt as well as the frame here. Now this is just going to be so that you can get your alignment close enough so that you're able to safely drive to the alignment shop and get it properly done. So just take a marker. It doesn't matter where you put your mark as long as it lines up on the washer here and the frame. And then I like to just do that on both sides of it, just in case it were to rub off. And then once you have your marks made, you can take a 27mm socket and wrench for our setup. Now ours is lifted, so we have different hardware. I believe this is either a 21 or a 24 or a combination of the two from the factory. So use the socket and wrench that matches your setup. And take that plate off the other side. Start pushing that out. We're gonna have to rotate this down and hope this clears the sway bar. And it's not clearing right now, so we're gonna get the other side out first, see if we can tilt this a little bit to get it out, and if not, we'll just undo these two bolts on our sway bar mount and drop it down a little bit. So now with that bolt out, I'm gonna try to push this up. See if we can clear that sway bar. So now I'm just gonna remove these two sway bar mount nuts. Now we really just need to get this shackle out of the way and we should have enough room to pull our bolt out. I've got a pole jack supporting the sway bar so it doesn't go anywhere. And we'll take an 18mm socket to pull these off. So now I'm gonna remove these two bolts holding our sway bar mount. I think I just need to get this shackle off and I'll have enough room to pull this bolt out. 18mm socket, 16mm wrench, and I've got a pole jack just supporting the weight of the sway bar. I'm just gonna pry down on this shackle, and then with that out of the way, we should have enough room to slide this out. And then with that out of the way, we can wiggle our lower control arm out of the lower strut mount. So now I've got a pole jack on the lower control arm so we don't have all the weight of it on that ball joint. And now I'm gonna go up top, take a 16mm ratcheting wrench to remove my 3 nuts. Now, like I said before, if you have a spacer set up like this, you do have enough room to pull that bolt out. But we're just gonna do it this way anyway, just in case. And now with your nuts removed, just push your lower control arm off to the side and just slide your strut straight down and out. So now with our strut removed, I'm gonna swing our lower control arm back up into the mounts and just slide a bolt through just to hold it for now. And then I'll get a pole jack under the front of the lower control arm, and then we can go up and disconnect our upper ball joint. So this is just gonna be temporary. So the bolt that we had an issue with the sway bar, we can just throw in the opposite direction. We'll just leave those there just to hold for now, and then I'll throw my pole jack under my lower control arm. So now with your lower control arm and knuckle supported with a pole jack, we can go up and undo our upper ball joint nut. So take an 18mm socket. I've got a swivel adapter on here just for a better angle. And then we're just gonna leave it on a few threads take a hammer and beat the side of the knuckle here to pop that ball joint free. And then pull down on your upper control arm, thread that nut off, and pop that out. And now you can grab an 18mm socket and a 21mm wrench and remove the 2 bolts holding in your upper control arm. Now just be careful you don't drop the nut on the other side. And then before I fully remove that bolt, I'm gonna get the other side. And now just pull out your 2 bolts and remove your upper control arm. So now we can install our new upper control arm. Now you want to match which side the ball joint's on to your factory one. We took out one that was offset to the right, so that's the one we're putting in. So just slide it into place. Slide your bolt through. Do that same thing on the other side. And then you take your nuts and thread those onto the other side of those bolts. Now we're gonna leave that loose for now. Now we can swing our knuckle back over. Get that ball joint pressed down into there. Now we are going to need a spacer that's included in the kit, and then we have a washer and a nut for that. So now we can slide that spacer on, followed by our washer and nut. And then grab 18mm socket and tighten that down. So now we can go back to our pivot points. We're going to pull the bolts out now that we have the knuckle supported by our upper control arm. Pull those out, swing that down. I've got my pole jack here again to support it. And then we'll grab our strut and slide that in. So now, just like when we removed it, kick that lower control arm over to the side. And then just slide your strut up into place. And then we'll grab my washer and nut. Get one on just to hold it, and then I can grab my other 2 and thread those on as well. So now we can get our lower strut bolts into the mount on the lower control arm and sway bar end link as well. And then with that in there, I'm just going to grab my 2 lower strut nuts, thread those on just so it doesn't drop on us. And then we can work on our pivot points. So now we can work on getting our pivot bolts back in place. I've got a pole jack underneath our lower control arm bushing here. And I'm just going to raise up on that until I can get my hole to line up. And slide that bolt through. Now I'm going to remove my pole jack. We're going to have to get this even before either bolt will go all the way through. So I'll just pin that down and bring it over to the other side here. Now we can get the bolt all the way through on the other side. And now I'm going to flip the side that my pole jack's on. Just get a little bit of a better angle. And then with that bolt started, push up on your sway bar. And now while we're here, I'm going to get my sway bar mount back installed. And we've got our washer and nut for each of those bolts. And then you can grab that 16mm wrench and 18mm socket and tighten those down. And now we can finish installing our hardware on our pivot bolts. So now we can tighten these down with that same 27mm socket and wrench. Now on the bolt side, you're going to want to use that wrench to line up your alignment mark. And then you can tighten it down with the socket on the nut side. And then every so often, just check your mark, make sure you're not turning away. And we'll do that same thing on the other side. Our alignment mark is right about there. So now we can tighten that one down. Now I should note that before I tightened these bushings down, I did put a pole jack on the lower control arm here to put a load on the suspension. You don't want to tighten the bushings when the suspension's drooped, because once you put the weight down on the ground, your bushing can turn and it can tear or crack. And now we can tighten down the 3 nuts down here. Now I already threw these 2 on, so we'll just throw our sway bar end link nut back on. And 18mm socket, tighten all 3. So now we just need to go back up top to wrap this up. I'm going to take my 16mm ratcheting wrench to fully tighten down my upper strut nuts. And then while you still have a load on the suspension with a pole jack or a floor jack, we can go ahead and tighten down our upper control arm bolts. And then I'm going to take an 18 and 21mm ratcheting wrench to tighten down my upper control arm bolts. And we'll do that same thing on this side. So now we just need to grease our ball joint. Now it's going to be really hard to get a camera angle in here. So I've got the other one here. We've got our grease fitting. So we're just going to take our grease gun, we're going to push it right onto that fitting, and then we're just going to pump it full of grease. I'm just going to pop the cap off the gun here, press that on, and then just give it a few good pumps. And now I can see that boot starting to expand here. Give it more pump, pull your fitting off, and then we'll grab our cap for the top. So now for our cap, we do have an O-ring here, and we also have some grease included to lube up this O-ring. And then we're just gonna put it right in that slot there, and then press this down and into place. So just get a little bit of that lube on your finger, and then just work it around that O-ring. Slide that down into place just like that. And then press it in. Make sure you got a nice snug fit there. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the BDS tubular front upper control arms for 2.5 to 6 inch lift for your 2004 to 2020 F-150 excluding Raptor. Thank you for watching, and for all things F-150, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.